every once in a while a transcendental goal is publicly acknowledged. And it was with that spirit that I felt for so many years a very positive experiment. I was an Eagle Scout. I grew up in the 40s and 50s, and when World War II was over, we were the good guys, and it was a happy time, pretty much, and a visionary time. And when Kennedy set that goal, I was just ready to get right in there and be a part of it. So in 1967, I was appointed as the first astronaut to go to Mars when it was still in NASA's program plan. However, 1 year later, because of Vietnam, it was canceled. Then I became a Vietnam protester. And so in those days, things were very positive. Now the whole atmosphere is repressive, suppressive. And we just have to acknowledge that, but realize that, well, I always like to hold out hope that we can have leaders who see the light and can set a transcendental goal. Even if it's something as simple, I did a little work with Dennis Kucinich on this question, is how do you as a politician phrase this so that it's palatable? Because it isn't palatable to the powers that be to develop free energy. Believe me, it takes away from their power and their profits. So how do you do this? And so I was designing a few statements and speeches that he actually gave for a while, but then he kind of withdrew from that. I don't know anybody gave him a phone call or what, but what I drafted for him was basically we can't leave any stone unturned in our quest for clean energy. I mean, that's a politically positive statement. And then you can at least slip it into a renewable energy program. And one of the things I study for this book, because I get this happening every day, I get about 10 emails a day trying to vet this and this and this concept of technology, whether it's free energy or whether it's just the latest traditional renewable energy source. And so like one day I might get, what about the air car? What about this kind of biofuel that's based on algae? What about this thin films for solar collection? What about this new material for windmills? And to my way of thinking, in a most general way, the news is bad. It's none of the above. When you really come down to it, if you're going to support 6 billion people on this planet, now some people don't want to support 6 billion people on the planet, so we have to put that into consideration. But let's assume we want to provide for everybody. Well, windmills would cost, the capital cost to have a wind economy for the entire world and associated grid system would be about $30 trillion. Well, that kind of money, of course, you can use to bail out Wall Street, but to come up with a solution, no. And it's very materials intensive, and it's land intensive, and it's intermittent and diffuse, and solar energy is even more expensive. And I'm not trying to say that's bad or wrong. I'm just saying, well, are these really the answers? But you see, what's happening now is that there's not only a dumbing down of this kind of analysis, kind of almost deliberately rigged dumbing down, but you get promotional hypes from various quarters. And right now, I mean, Obama's beginning to embrace the dirtier of the more renewable technologies, like clean coal or nuclear. Oh, that's not renewable, that's nightmares. He's not very far along on the curve. And of course, there could be reasons for that. We'll find out later, maybe. But the point is that he's not far along on the curve. But all the solar and the Solartopia people, and I don't object to that. We could have a future with traditional renewables. But that's like discussing dirigibles and balloons after the Wright brothers already flew. It's not the kind of thing that is going to be our future. Actually, consciousness will be our future. I mean, we'll be able to do magic. However, do we have a future? And that's a big question because of the tyranny that we're involved in now. And that's, I think, one of the reasons why we're going to be developing the theme of Camelot in the most general way, and then we go to Project Camelot, because in a sense, Camelot was an attempt, the JFK presidency was an attempt to come up with a kingdom, if you will, or whatever you want to call it, a political unit that is compassionate and would seek the truth. And right now, I think we're in a position to want to have a truth and reconciliation process in the United States, certainly in Israel. In Israel right now, there's apartheid going on, just like South Africa. There has to be some sort of process to initiate the truth. And there are some truths, of course, that like David Ray Griffin and his writings, there are some truths that are discarded and are instead become sacred myths. That's his phrase for it. So like 9/11, the official story is a sacred myth. The existence, the non-existence of free energy is a sacred myth. That all we can do is wind, solar, and so forth, look backwards without looking forward. But you see, the free energy question, even when you think of sheer logic, the inevitable conclusion you come to, and you don't even have to be sentient, you don't even have to believe in it. All you have to have is a head on your shoulders to be able to use some logic saying, well, maybe this is possible. So let's research it. After all, the amount of investment for the research would be equivalent to a few hours of fighting in Iraq. You would think that might be worth it. But no, it's not even mentioned. In fact, it's a no-no. It's definitely not to be considered.